In this slidecast, we're going to look at what a manager does. What are the functions of management? These are the typical management functions that are usually used in management studies. Notice that they're arranged in a circle. They're not linear. They're not one happens after the other and then you come to an end. They're linear. They go around and round. So sometimes you go through this cycle a couple of times with a project. So let's look at each one of these management functions in turn. First one is planning. This is where you establish the objectives. What are the things you want to achieve in the project? You will talk to the client about it. What does the client want? And then you figure out how you're going to do it. How you're going to do it is the methodology. So methodology is how we're going to do it, and it's not just we're going to go away and design it. It's a step-by-step description of the activities that happen to produce the project objectives. And also tied up with the methodology is what are the resources you require to do that. Resources are all the things you need. So there might be materials. If you're, say, building a house, there'd be the timber and the concrete and the nails and all those sort of things. But also if you've got people working for you, they are also a resource. So the people that are doing the work are a resource. Another resource is equipment and plant. So equipment like if you're doing CAD work, your computer is the equipment you need with the CAD program. If you're doing construction, the equipment you'll need is construction plants such as a bulldozer or a digger or something like that. So you determine what each one of those steps in the methodology require, what resources they require, and so you've got a very detailed plan of how you're going to do the work. Which leads us on to the next part, which is organizing it. Once you've got your detailed plan, you start setting it up. You start organizing for people to be allocated to your project, for plant to be being made available, for space to be available for your project team. You obtain the resources. You also break that methodology down into parts where you can say, okay, well, Fred's going to do the design and drawing of this particular beam or column. So you break the methodology down into parts that you can allocate to a particular person that will do the work. And you coordinate those activities. So for example, if Fred needs to do the design before Sally does the CAD work, then you arrange for Fred the methodology to show that Fred has to finish the design by a particular point in time when Sally actually starts doing the CAD work. So you coordinate all those activities that happen so that they go together efficiently. So that's what coordination is all about, is making sure that you're using these resources efficiently and effectively to produce the project objectives. The next step is the actual doing, and when the work is underway, you're leading, you're implementing the methodology, you're making it happen. If you are a construction manager, you're arranging for people to be delivering the plant to site. You're briefing the foreman, for example. So that's what the communication is. You're telling the people who are working for you what you actually require. You're not just telling them what they actually have to do, you're telling them how much time they have to do it, how much budget they have to do it, what resources they have to do it with. And you're communicating, you're discussing it. It's a two-way street. So they might say, I need another resource to do that, whatever. You're supervising the activity, so you're making sure that the work is actually happening. You don't just tell someone to do something and then expect it to happen. You make sure that it is actually happening. So you're going there and making sure that they understood what you were talking about. You watch what they're doing. Have they understood what I have asked them to do? And you lead and motivate the staff. That means communicating with them, identifying any problems, and making their jobs, their lives a little bit easier. What you want is you want the people that are working for you to be motivated, that you want them to want to do the work for you. And the last function is controlling. This is where you check quality. Now that word quality is a word that's going to pop up quite a bit in this course. In an engineering context, quality is fitness for purpose, which means it does what it's supposed to do. It's a little bit different from the normal definition of quality. Most people say that a quality car is a really big expensive one, like a Ferrari or something like that. But if the object of your car is to drive you to work every day cheaply, then a Ferrari might not be a quality car. It might be that a Toyota Corolla or a bike is a more quality vehicle for you because it's more fit for purpose. So quality is a little bit different to engineers than it is to other people. You're checking the quality. Are you actually, the work that's being done, is it moving towards satisfying the objectives? That's the measure of quality. Have you met the objectives of the project? You're monitoring the performance. You're checking the quality, making sure that each one of the activities is producing the products that they're supposed to produce, the outputs. You are making sure they're doing it on time. You're making sure they're doing it on budget. And you're identifying any problems, anything that might stop you from achieving your objectives. You're identifying them really early on, and then you're dealing with them. So to deal with them, so for example, it might be that Fred is doing the design, and when it comes to Sally, it's only half done and Sally can't produce the drawings. So you've identified a problem. You need to go back to Fred and say, why is this not being done properly? So Fred might have to redo the design before Sally can start the work. So that's a problem that you have to manage. So you'd have to go to Fred and why hasn't the design been done properly? And you find out why, and you do something about it. Maybe that Fred isn't qualified to do the design, and you need to find someone else to do it, for example. And that is why this is shown as a circuit, because when you've identified a problem, something that means that you're not going to meet the objectives, you need to implement more work to correct that problem. So you go back to planning. You plan the work, the revised work, and then you organise it, then you lead it. So that's why this is shown as an iterative process. So let's summarize. Engineering management is making the project works happening. So we've got that planning, organizing, leading and controlling that we talked about in the last slide. In addition to that, engineering management, especially when you graduate, involves administration, doing the paperwork, making sure people get paid, making sure that the client knows what's going on. If there are any consent applications to be made, you are making sure that they are submitted. So it's doing the paperwork. In addition to that, there's also reporting. You may be reporting to your boss, telling him how everything's going. We're bringing it in on time or not. What are the problems? How's the budget looking? Or you may be reporting the same things to your client. So there's a lot of reporting goes on because there are several parties involved in an engineering project. Engineering management is not doing the technical work. It's not doing the construction. It's not surveying. It's not when you're doing the technical investigations. It's not doing the design. It's not when you're doing your CAD work. It's not when you're sort of calculating the sizes of a beam or something like that. It's not doing the operation. It's not doing maintenance. But as an engineer technician, especially when you graduate, you will be doing those technical workers as well. So engineering, especially at your level, is a combination between management and the technical work. When you first start, you'll be doing mostly technical work, but you will still be doing a certain amount of management. Even if you're just managing yourself, you need to be aware of these concepts of how to do a job effectively and efficiently, which is what management's all about. So you might just be managing yourself, that's fine, or you might be managing a construction crew, or you might be managing just another person, a chainman. But you need to be aware of what those processes are. So why are we learning engineering management? Why do engineering projects need to be managed? Because they're complicated, because there are a lot of activities involved. So you can see here there's a construction site, there are lots and lots of activities all going together. They need to be coordinated. If they're not coordinated, everyone's banging into each other, everyone's getting in each other's way. It needs to be done effectively because it is expensive. Engineering projects typically cost tens of thousands for a very small project up to billions of dollars. They need to be done effectively and efficiently, and management is the way that that happens. Every mistake in engineering costs a lot of money. They are important. We provide the infrastructure that keeps society going. So this picture here shows a drain carrying away water. If the drain wasn't built properly, then the water would flood the community and the community wouldn't work very well. Likewise, we're the ones that are responsible for taking away the wastewater. If the wastewater is not taken away properly, it is in the community, it can cause illness, it can cause an unpleasant environment. We provide the water. If the water is not provided, then the community can't exist. We provide the roads so that all the goods can come in and out of the community, that people can move around the community. If a road is not built properly, then people can't move around the community properly. So all of the stuff we do is important. It is what is required to keep a community going, and we need to build it properly. So that comes down to quality. Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Is it fit for purpose? And lastly, construction, or especially, is dangerous. We are messing around with massive machines, heavy materials. When we've actually built the work, roads, bridges, they are potentially quite dangerous things. So all of the stuff we do is potentially dangerous. When the construction work's actually happening, someone needs to be coordinating it, making sure that people are doing stuff safely. And that's another responsibility of the manager. So all of those things mean that effective and efficient management is required to construct them as required, on time, to budget, and safely. If management is not done properly, then these things will not happen and the project will not be as effective and as efficient as it's supposed to be. Now at the start of things, you're not the one that's sort of overlooking everything. You're not the head honcho, you're not the one at the top doing all the management. But management of an engineering project just doesn't happen with one person at the top. It happens with a whole hierarchy of people, from the top manager through to middle management through to low level management. And when you graduate, you will be in that low level management group. So engineering management is important for you guys to be able to do, even if it's just at a very basic level.